right, good morning, guys. Mid-morning, I guess. Working on 701 landing gear today. Now, I've been procrastinating on this project for quite a while. It's been sitting on the sidelines. I've been moving stuff around, and there are several reasons for that. But anyway, I've been playing with it the last few days. I've had the hinges laying here for the doors. Couldn't permanently affix the trim along the sides of the doors because the hinges needed to be attached to that. So I spent yesterday doing that. I've got that all installed, riveted in place and everything. Very happy with that. And I haven't been showing a lot of this stuff because I just don't get anything done if I take the time to video every little thing, and I'm not sure it's necessary or appreciated. I use this as much as a build log as anything else to document my build, and I can go back and see what I've done and any changes I want to make. So I got that done. I had the motor mount done. It's been done for quite some time too, but it sat out on the plane and it needed to be cleaned up and painted. So I did that over the last few days. It's hanging in place on the front of the fuselage there. I haven't permanently bolted it in place yet, but I'll do that maybe later today if I have time, or in the near future. So anyway, that part of it's done. We're moving forward on this project. So this is my landing gear stock here, and I procrastinated on bending this up because I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do it. There was, I've had plans for a setup to bend them in a standard brake, or not a brake, but in a standard press. And that was my plan, although I felt like my hydraulic press was a little bit underpowered to do that, or undersized to do that, and I'm not sure it would have fit in there and done it. So what I've ended up and done is I've got it set up on my welding table, and I'll show you the fixturing for that. I went ahead and I permanently welded mounts to that to form landing gear. Hopefully everything will go as it should. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Now I've got my porta power is what I'm using to press it with. I just now finished filling it with jack oil, so we'll see if the seals are still good in it and if it's going to do what it's supposed to be doing. But anyway, here's the layout for the landing gear. This 3.5 inch wide stock, half inch, no, it's more than ½ inch thick. What are we doing here? This is 3/4 inch thick is what this material is. So I've already got my center line. These are my first bends, which go to 60 degrees. And then at the very ends, I've got it marked for the 10-degree bend for the camber, and the red marks will show where it gets cut off, assuming we get it bent the way it's supposed to be doing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see those marks. So anyway, that's what we're going to attempt to do today, and that'll be my major accomplishment for the day. Now, I've got drawings for the plans and stuff that were originally done, and this is somebody else's setup from back in 2011 is when this was printed out. So they showed their little mount that they had that fit in the press. So hopefully that shows up a little bit for you. And I was originally going to do this and set up a bigger press because I've got a bigger press in the future, but ended up I'm tired of waiting on it is what it comes down to. So we're going to take it out and we're going to start bending it. I'll show a little bit of this. I'm not going to show all of it because I'm going to concentrate on getting my bends right, getting my angles right and everything, assuming this goes the way it's supposed to. And we'll go out and take a look at my setup, and then we'll start bending this, and hopefully everything will go as it should. All right, so this is the setup. And I've got my uprights welded in place here. They're square to the world. I've got them braced 3 places on each one. Pressure will be coming through this way, so I've got them here, here, and here. And that should distribute the pressure evenly, or support it evenly. For my pressure foot to get my 6-inch radius, this is actually just under 6 inches. This is about 5 7/8 is what the actual outside diameter of this is. What it was is I didn't have a piece of 6-inch cold roll. What I did have was a piece of 5 1/4, and then I had a piece of pipe that I got that I was just going to reinforce originally to do this. I bought it specifically for this out of the scrap pile down at my local metal supplier. What I ended up and did to get that larger radius and give it more support without welding or anything, is I just took and cut it to length, and then I split it down this side, spread it apart, and mounted it on there. So that gives us our basically 6-inch radius. Like I say, we're just underneath, but we're so close that it's not going to matter. With spring back, we'll probably get a 6-inch radius. So on that end, took a piece of angle iron that I had, drilled a hole, or it had a hole in it, so I just bolted it through one of the existing holes in my table and added a couple of gussets here, and then I've clamped it down. So hopefully that'll be strong enough to support it on that end. And all we're going to do is align it, and we'll measure to make sure we're centered before we start pressing on anything. And that's going to be the setup right there. I've taken some aluminum just to give it a little better support to go around the edges of this and here. Now, the original design that I copied this from for the upright press setup used diesel engine piston pins. And we had a hole in the center, so they just ran a center hole through there, so these would actually rotate in the fixture. I only had one piston pin in my scrap pile of stuff. Actually, it's not scrap pile, it's one I saved specifically. But rather than do that, why and try and track down another one there again, got tired of waiting, and we'll just take some lithium grease, we'll spray the crap out of all of these bearing surfaces on them, and hopefully it will press fine. So anyway, let me go get the blank and we'll get it set up and see if we can't make a formed landing gear. Okay, well, we're going to say that's our first bend right there. So, good, bad, or otherwise, let's bring this up just a little bit, hopefully. We're going to say that's right on. I'm going to say we got that square to the world. So let's just go ahead and add some grease in here, just to hopefully make things slide a little bit smoother. Looks like we're square on there. Sorry if I'm blocking the view here. Looks good so far. Let me move you around because that's going to be in the way. We're just going to bend a little bit just to show proof of concept, and then I'm going to turn off the camera and go ahead and do my thing here because I want to be able to concentrate on this. Okay, we're going to relieve that because I need to have support underneath this other end to make sure we stay level here. All right, so you're seeing my mistakes. The only problem I'm having is I have to make sure it's all leveled up. And my little bracket there, or my support, wasn't long enough to support it. So we're getting awful close here. I would say about 2 more pumps, and that'll then take into account our spring back. That should put us just about where we want to be. And I think I'll get a piece of chalk and mark the table where where I stopped, just so I can use it as a comparison for the other side. Just take a Sharpie. I think that should be just about right. Maybe not quite enough. No, not quite enough. Huh. Okay, that's about where we were before. Still not quite. That's it right there. No, maybe not. No, it's still not quite enough. I think we're supported well enough through here now that I don't need to worry about it being level. I don't think we're going to induce any twist at this point in time. That's got to be enough there. Gots to be. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Yeah, I can feel just a little bit of stretching through there, but there's what we end up with, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead, turn off the camera, and we'll go ahead and set up for the next bend. See if we can't get this bent up, and I'll bring you back in a bit. All right, well, here's the fruits of today's labor. And I still got to adjust this just a little bit. How are we in frame here? I still have to adjust this a little bit. My dimensions are right on here. I'm about 45 millimeters too narrow here according to the spec. So I've overbent these pieces. Is what I've overbent by about 2 degrees. Something in there. I've had my little Wixie cheapy angle finder on it, and I don't necessarily trust it 100%, but it's in here. I've got both of these are within about 0.3 of a degree, so I'd be happy with those. Of course, when I adjust these, well, it'll change those, so I'm gonna tweak them a little bit more in the morning when it's still cool out and I'm in the shade and stuff over there at my bench. Worked pretty well. The airplane's overhead. It worked okay. You have to make sure, it'd be nicer if I had a full-size table like this to bend on. That way you'd know everything was level and true and in plane. It looks good end to end. It doesn't look like I've got any twist in it or anything, so I'm very happy there. And these are cut lines here. There's one on the other side too. I've not cut them yet. I'm not going to cut them right away. I'm sure that's where they will be cut because there's no sense in leaving any extra or adjusting. You know, I wondered if it might make a difference with tire size and stuff like that, but it shouldn't make any difference there. I see no real good reason to leave them any longer. Plus, it'd be that much more flexibility in there, you know, that much more extra length on it to be able to flex or bend or something like that, twist. So they'll get cut eventually, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Like I say, in the morning I'll come out and play with it a little bit. Backing my round steel rods with aluminum, I think helped. You know, I think that's a good idea. Just stops from transferring anything that would transfer off of the steel, any markings or anything that might have been there, although I did kind of polish them up. Where I sprayed the lithium grease, don't think it hurt anything. I'm not really sure it's necessary, but anyway, all in all, I'm pretty happy with it at this point in time. I've got a landing gear about ready to install. I've got to order brakes, wheels, and tires yet, but we're still kind of contemplating tire size too, so that'll make a difference on tires and brakes. I don't know what I'm going to put on yet for those. So anyway, that's where we're at today. You know, any ideas, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch.